I still get fired up when I hear that John Harbaugh post-game speech. All right, and it fired me up enough to give the Ravens a big jump, Chris, in the Week 3 power rankings that we posted yesterday at PFT. The Buccaneers are still number 1, and they'll be number 1 until they lose. And if they lose this weekend, the Rams will be number 1 because it's number 1 versus number 2. Old school style. I like it like that. I know some people are salty that I put the Ravens up as far as they did, but I had to put them in front of the Chiefs. They beat the Chiefs, and it's not like the Chiefs should plummet. You know, the best teams are still the best teams. I don't care what the records are. I like what the Ravens did. It was a signature victory. It was the most important win of the John Harbaugh, Lamar Jackson tenure. And I think they're just going to roll from there. There's an aura. There's a vibe. Just like when they went for it on 4th down against the Seahawks. That was the moment they declared themselves in 2019. I think they're just going to build on it from here, and they're going to keep winning football games. So, I don't know. I look at it now and I see plus 10. This team's up 10. This team's up 8. This team's up 9. This team's down 10. But that's what you do in the early season. You're trying to figure out where everybody fits.
Yeah, I get it. I think you are. I'm with the rest of the crowd. I think you've gone too high with the Ravens. I will. I mean, just right off.
That's ironic.
Well, ironic. I mean, from your logic there, then why aren't the Raiders higher up? I mean, why aren't? That's where I just would question that one a little bit. Right? I mean,
the Raiders are in the top 10. Hey,
okay, but you just said that one team. You gave credit to one team for winning a game where they really benefited from the other team.
Bigger win.
Home field, at their own home field.
Ravens beating the Chiefs was a bigger win. That was the biggest win of the season so far because of what it meant to Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. And if you doubt me, go back and watch the way Jackson reacted after those moments where they took the lead late or they cemented the victory. He understands what it means to him and to the team. It was a bigger win for the Ravens to do what they did to the Chiefs. That's why they're higher than the Raiders right now, even though the Raiders are 2-0.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't disagree with what you said there. It was a big win. I do, but again, I don't know. I just wouldn't have put them that high. That's all I'm saying. Like that would probably be the first thing that jumps out to me. I don't know if I would put the Bills in front of the 49ers right now. That would be another one that jumps out to me.
49ers haven't been impressive, though. They have not been impressive.
Well, they were killing one team. The Bills haven't been overly impressive either. I mean, that's where it's tough. I'm just saying. I just think and my take is just that you're a little too high on them and the Ravens, and the other one is the Steelers. The Steelers, I think I would have definitely had the Panthers in front of them for sure. The Steelers were lucky to win Week 1 to a degree. If it's not a block punt and some flubs by, Buffalo. So that was just the ones that jumped out to me. I'm not saying I'm right. I don't know. It's just the ones that I looked at to where if I can criticize Florio, that's where I'm going to criticize you.
I'm sure you're going to seize on anything you can. I felt bad about bumping the Panthers any higher because they're already up 10 spots. And I was on radio in Charlotte this morning. They want to give me a ticker tape parade in Charlotte because I'm the only one. I don't look at other power rankings. Apparently, I'm the only one anywhere that has them in the top 10. How can you not have the Panthers in the top 10?
Right.
After what we saw last week against the Saints.
Right. And I mean, it was annihilation. I mean, it really was. I mean, it was an absolute butt whooping. It was the Saints did to the Packers, the Panthers did to the Saints. There was really no chance at any time during the game that you thought the Saints were going to win that football game or come back. I mean, it was that dominant. So yeah, people need to wake up to that. But I hear you. You did. You made them have a huge jump there. I'm just saying maybe in front of the Steelers. That's all I was saying. I think the only one that really bothers me is the Ravens. I think that's it. Again, I know it was an awesome win, but I guess I still got questions about them a little bit as we go forward here.
Well, maybe I got caught up in the moment because it was a big win and it was a signature win, and I feel like it's the start of something good for the Ravens after they've gotten through the early season.
Yeah.
Injury dysfunction, and I think most teams are going to deal with that injury dysfunction at some point in a 17-game season. The question is, can you get through it? Can you find ways to win even when you are besieged by injuries? Some questions here. Let's go with Florian Grossberg. Is the Buccaneers' tendency to take their foot on and off the gas pedal a cause for concern when they play the better teams? Look, they may just be like the Chiefs have been in recent years. You play up and you play down to the level of the competition. Every week, you're getting the A-plus game from every opponent you have. If you're in a position where you can take the foot off the gas, maybe you should take your foot off the gas from time to time, because every game that you play, the other team is treating it like it's their own personal Super Bowl, Chris.
Yeah, they're definitely going to have to, answer that bell week in and week out, 100%. I'm like you. I feel the same kind of way. That was like one of the things I talked about, like on our Peacock, Sunday night post-game show, was just that, the Bucs do have a little bit of that feel. Like, we're going to dominate you. We're stepping on the gas. Okay, we're winning. We're dominating. Let's play a little conservative. Let's not be the same on defense. We lose our intensity. Whoa, you're coming back? Hold on. We can step on the gas again. We're that damn good. We can take it off and put it back on and take it off and put it back on. So, yes, but I'm not concerned about it. I'm not. I think when
How do you fix it? Do you just live with it, or do you try to fix it?
No, I think you do try to fix it. They just got to figure out that right blend, like Kansas City in that game, where you're up 35-24 and had the ball like 2 times. I think they were up 28-17 at one point and had the ball 2 times, to where you just can't go, wait, we're going to protect our lead. They got to find that balance of like still being aggressive but not crazy aggressive. And that's, to me, that's a tough balance to find all throughout the game, especially when you do take a lead, because, as we've talked about before, the mental psychology of the game comes in there too, to where, maybe Brady or Mahomes want to make that throw if the game's tight, but, we're up by 10, I'm not going to take that chance. And that's where you kind of got to figure out, what you can get away with and what you can do in those situations.
You don't want to give the momentum to the other team at a time when they're on the ropes. I agree with that completely. Yeah. And it's a long season. And, hey, the Buccaneers have some difficult games. The schedule isn't Murderer's Row, but the next couple of weeks need to have their full attention. They go to L.A. First time Tom Brady has ever played in Los Angeles. He will play the Rams this week.
1 versus
the Bucs
2.
Go out there. And then they go to New England the following week.
Yeah.
Here's a question from Mike Ness 18. Is there any area where the Bucs need to be concerned about? Chris, I think you and I are on the same page. They still have to stop the blitzing.
Yes.
Just trust their front 4.
That's right. That to me is the only thing I look at that can really throw them off. Is just Todd Bowles getting impatient, sticking to like, this is what I do. This is what you don't need to do that. You got a different team.
No risk it, no biscuit.
Yeah.
No risk it, no biscuit.
Yeah. They got to be careful there. Because, they risked it and they almost lost the biscuit in week 1 completely, because of some of those over-aggressive defensive calls. So that would be the thing that jumps. I'm with you there. Jumps out to me too.
We talked about the Ravens already and why they're ahead of the Raiders, and we'll see how it works out in the coming weeks. As to the Bills at number 5, John Lariviere, 12. I'm not sure you're looking at Josh Allen the way he should be looked at. He had one decent season. Decent season? Really, John Lariviere? It was decent? Last year was decent.
Season. I mean, yeah.
And his completion percentage his last 3 games is horrible. I saw somewhere that his completion percentage is down this year, and I guess that's cause for concern, but I still am not going to sign on to this idea that what we saw from Josh Allen last year was some sort of a fluke. It was him arriving at a next level of performance that he's going to stay at, and I'm not ready to say he's not still there, Chris.
No, I'm not either. Definitely not. Again, they played a really good defense 2 weeks in a row in a lot of ways. Last week, they didn't need to absolutely torch it. They're a little off in their passing game. There's no question about it. They played 2 defenses who have extreme knowledge of their offensive system too. So let's pump the brakes. And here's the other thing I would say. Yeah, they're not an effective run team. We saw some balance from them last week. Maybe they can continue to do that. But my main point I want to make is the Bills' talent on the offensive side is way overrated. It's way overrated. Nobody's going, oh, my gosh, if we don't stop Emmanuel Sanders, we're screwed. Or, oh, my gosh, if we don't stop Cole Beasley, we're screwed. It's Stephon Diggs. He's the only guy there that's like a legitimate blue chip. Like, okay, we got to worry about him. That's it. So, what? And again, there's no Travis Kelce out there. Diggs is not Tyreek Hill, okay? And there's a reason Emmanuel Sanders is on his 3rd team for the 3rd year in a row. It's not because he's been so good and the teams are just like, we can't figure it out. Well, we can't keep him. No. So that's the other thing. That's just haterade on Josh Allen. So, it hasn't been great, but we'll see how it goes and let it play out.
Raiders at number 8, and Chad Mixon asks, did a part of you feel it was too early to have the Raiders in the top 10? Look, the Raiders beat the Ravens and the Steelers in back-to-back weeks, and they still have to play the Browns, and they play all the teams of the NFC East, which is better than it was last year, but it's not like playing all the teams of the NFC West. When you start looking at the Raiders' schedule and we start spinning it forward, there's a lot of W's lurking there. This is a team that could be very good, and to start off the year winning against two playoff teams from last year, one team that was 11-0 last year. They went into their building and beat them. They outclassed the Steelers on Sunday. And to get that win over the Ravens to start the season, I think we have to Chris, they could be 6-1 at the bye. That's not crazy. 5-2, 6-1 at the bye is extremely realistic.
It is. It is. I think every game is probably going to be tough and close. Like, they're not going to blow anybody out, but their offense puts tremendous pressure on you. You know, Gruden, Carr together, they never waste plays. And what I mean by wasting plays, they don't run a play into a bad defensive look ever. They don't. So they're extremely efficient that way. You know, they have 9 zillion ways to throw the ball 6 and 7 yards. And then now, with that, they got guys to go, oh, wait, now you're coming up to stop our 6 and 7 yard pass plays? Well, now we got guys that can just take off and beat you man-to-man. And Derek Carr can throw it out there and hit you. And that's where they become really dangerous. They can protect the quarterback. The O-line, hey, Gruden and company, they knew what they were doing. It's not like as good as maybe it was 2 years ago, but it's still good enough, as we're seeing, to get the job done. Josh Jacobs is not even there. You know, and the defense at least is sound. That's what Gus Bradley's got them doing. They got a little talent in the secondary. You can see they're coming along. Trayvon Mullen, Arnett, Abrams, and, you know, it's allowing everybody to play fast and aggressive, and that's the biggest difference to me with the Raiders, and I think they are going to be, you know, in this thing. Just from what I've seen through 2 weeks ago, I'd be shocked if they're not in this thing when it's December and we're talking playoff football.
Things can change dramatically any given week, but so far so good for the Raiders, and they should be able to beat the Dolphins this weekend. We'll do all of our picks on Thursday for the Mega Picks Joint podcast, and I'll go ahead and give you that little clue. I'm going to pick the Raiders to beat the Dolphins. Steelers at number 9. At Spirits West say, I thought you hated the Steelers, Mike. All is forgiven. Look, I don't hate the Steelers. I hate all teams equally. We gotta rank them. We got to figure out how to put them in here. If anything, I thought not enough of them going into the season, and I allowed myself to think too much of the win over Buffalo week 1. I still think that was a big deal.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised that they then tripped over their own shoelaces and lost at home to the Las Vegas Raiders. First game in Pittsburgh with a full stadium. Not that really mattered. We've seen a lot of home teams with full stadiums lose so far this year. But, we're still trying to figure out exactly where they are. They probably should be a little bit lower. And if Ben Roethlisberger's hurt and it's Mason Rudolph or Dwayne Haskins against the likes of the Bengals and the Packers the next couple of weeks, it's probably the last time they're going to see the top 10 all year long, Chris.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting few weeks. I mean, definitely. I mean, yeah, it's hard to win the way they're playing right now. Like, just kind of inconsistent on offense. They're, like you said earlier in the show, there's no identity. I think they're trying to figure it out. And they're just hoping their defense keeps them in games and maybe can make a play or two to help the offense out and get a short field. So, yeah, it's not going to be easy. And, you know, I haven't really looked at their schedule. They got the Bengals this week. Okay, yeah, they should beat them, but I don't think that'll be easy. It won't be. The Bengals are a better team.
What if they don't have Ben? What if they don't have Ben?
That would scare me too. Again, it's just not easy to go in there and just go, oh, I'm taking over an offense that is not hitting on all cylinders, and now, you know, I'm the quarterback as a backup. Yeah, there's definitely issues there. And the Bengals are a better football team. The Bengals blew it last week against the Bears. They blew it. They really did. They kind of had it, and I was sitting there going, it's 7-3, and it's just a matter of time. Joey B will start getting hot, and watch out. That didn't happen. But, you know, I wouldn't be shocked if the Steelers lost the next 4 games. I wouldn't be shocked if they ugly win the next 4 games. I really wouldn't. It's hard to have a feel for them right now. And like you said, it's early in the season. We got to kind of continue to evaluate and reevaluate these teams to figure out exactly what they are. It's hard to get a complete picture after 2 games.
3 of the next 4 games at home leading into a Week 7 bye. Right before the bye, it's a Sunday night, Seahawks at Steelers. And you may be saying, well, wait a minute, didn't we just do Seahawks at Steelers 2 years ago? This is the 17th game. This is the formula. This is the way it works. They wouldn't be playing the Seahawks any other year, but that's how it fell as they did that inter-conference extra game. Seahawks coming back to Pittsburgh this year.
How many times Sorry, go ahead. I was going to say, how many times have you had to explain that 17th game to people when you say it every now and then? Like, I've had it at so many times. This is our 7, and they're like, what do you mean? It's not week 17? Yeah. And I'm like, no, this is the part of the extra game and the crossover scheduling. And I feel like I have to explain it to people all the time.
Yeah, and that game, and just for anyone who hasn't been paying attention, it is an interconference game, that extra game. It's not going to be your 17th game, your last game. It's going to be interspersed with the others, but it's an interconference game. It's driven by a rotation of the divisions and where you finished in your division the prior year versus where the other team finished. And in theory, you could cross paths with a given team from the other conference a lot more often than once every 4 years,
right,
which is the way it otherwise is. And they'll still play once every 4 years, but in between that, they could see them again. All right, number 11, the Green Bay Packers, up from number 15. Number 14, the Saints, down from number 4. Smell My Cologne 1 on Twitter says, didn't Green Bay lose to New Orleans? And look, I am a victim and a proponent of recency bias, especially when it comes to power rankings. And the Saints looked so bad last week against the Panthers, they had to free fall. They had to. And, maybe I should have bumped the Packers up maybe 1 or 2 spots. I don't know. In hindsight, 4 may be too much because we agreed yesterday that it really isn't all that impressive of a win. When you manage to successfully punch your punching bag, how impressive is that? This wasn't a big game for the Packers other than they needed to win. They got one of their easiest stops on the schedule, the perfect game. The Lions coming into town on a primetime moment when the Packers needed to win. Yeah, okay, fine. So maybe I shouldn't have bumped them up 4 spots because I don't know that they have exercised all their demons and deserve to be on the fringes of the top 10.
Yeah, well, it's fair. I mean, the Saints obviously got some demons too, though. I mean, so, it's hard there. And, we saw you're going to have some recency bias because, we're talking about, Green Bay, who's been the number 2 seed in last year they were number 1 seed, number 1 and number 2 seed in the NFC playoffs the last 2 years. And you saw Rodgers and company get in a rhythm. So you always kind of think, well, here they go. Watch out. I don't know. That has to play a part in your psychology. That's a really tough spot on your power rankings, like 11, 12, 13, 14, even 15 there with the Cowboys involved in that conversation. I mean, you could talk to 10 NFL head coaches and they could have that, 10 different ways as far as how that plays out. Now, I think for me, I probably would have gone Browns, Patriots, Packers. No, I would have gone Browns, Cowboys, Patriots, Packers, Saints. I think that's how I would have done it. If that makes sense? Did I say that right? I think I did. I would have gave the Browns the 11th spot. I probably would have gave the Cowboys the 12th spot. The Patriots the 13th. Because even though those teams we just talked about there, they lost games in week 1. They kind of outplayed their team they played. They just lost. They messed it up. And then I would have filled in there, I think, with the Cowboys and the Saints. But, hey, I understand. The Saints game was concerning there. I mean, that was concerning. They could do nothing. They got their butts beat, I think, worse maybe than they beat the Packers the week before. So that was ugly.
It is an amazing swing of the pendulum from one week to the next, and we react based upon what we've seen most recently. Question from M. Paris 86 about the Browns being at number 12. They were at number 7 last week. Is it fair to drop the Browns 5 spots following a double-digit win? Well, all's fair in power rankings because it doesn't mean anything. But they were not impressive. They haven't been impressive. They were impressive in the first half of the game against the Chiefs. That's it. And my concern is the Browns aren't going to live up to the high expectations. And if Tyrod Taylor doesn't get injured, the Browns quite possibly are 0-2, Chris. So I want to see some urgency. They've got the injury to Jarvis Landry now, who's going to go on IR with an MCL. Maybe Odell Beckham Jr. will be back this week against the Bears. Baker Mayfield, the misguided decision to try to make a tackle after an interception, and he's got an issue with his left shoulder. I want to see more from that team, and I definitely want to see more from the defense.
That's it, Mike. You said it. That's where we got to see it. I mean, the defense is hands down the concern of the football team. You know, the offense is kicking butt. They're very efficient. They kind of can do whatever they want to do for the most part. Yeah, they made a mistake last week. They made a mistake at the end of the game to the Chiefs. But, I mean, man, they're phenomenal. The defense is concerning. You know, Tyrod Taylor came out of the game, and what was he? You know, I mean, hold on. I got the game here. He was, 10 for 11 for 125 and a touchdown. And then, of course, had a 15-yard touchdown run to go along with it. Like, yeah, who knows how that game plays out? They got to figure it out on defense. They do. I don't know what it is. If they got to play more man-to-man coverage, that would probably be one thing that jumps out to me. You know, they might have to mix up the defense a little bit. You can't just play vanilla Seattle scheme play after play after play. You know, they're not good enough to just do that, and too many teams know the Seattle scheme. It's just it's dying off. It's dying off. You got to have some curveballs involved in there. You can't just keep throwing that defense out there all the time.
At Guy101, what team currently on the right side of the ledger, the bottom half of the power rankings, has the best chances of making it to the playoffs? And here they are, 17 through 32. This one's easy to me based upon what we saw from the Titans.
Yeah.
I would say the Titans.
Right?
I
think so. I'm with you there. The Titans and the Broncos, the Seahawks there. You got them all right there. But the Titans.
I'd go Titans-Seahawks right now.
Yeah.
Titans-Seahawks, the two most likely to make it.
I would agree with you there. Yes. The Titans, they have a lot of things that you like about their football team. You know, they blew some coverages and messed some things up in the game last week. But, man, I look at their secondary and go, man, this Christian Fulton, you know, Janoris Jenkins on the other side, they can cover. You know, their defensive line looks pretty good. So, you know, they just got to figure it out a little bit or play a little bit more sound. Both weeks they had some mess up there, but I think their offense got rolling last week finally. And we'll see if they can keep it going. But I do look at them as that team, Mike. I'm with you.
Vikings at 24. They were 23 last week at Lisgo Skull. The Vikings move down. If Greg Joseph makes the kick, do they move up? Yes, they do, because they would have won the game. They lost. They dropped a spot. And I had to keep them behind the Bengals. Otherwise, I would have had 75% of the greater Cincinnati area up my butt over the fact that the Vikings were somehow higher than the Bengals, even though the Vikings beat the Bengals. So I wanted to give the Vikings more credit for playing the Cardinals tough, but the bottom line is they lost a game they should have won. Last one real quickly, Chris. The Giants went up one in defeat. Don Johnson, 69, says, I'm not happy with the list. We deserve to be last because our defense is so atrocious, and we let Tyler Heineke look like prime Tom Brady out there. But the bottom line is, in my mind, they won that game because, in my mind, Dexter Lawrence was not offside, and that first field goal was no good, and Daniel Jones played great, and there's plenty of reasons to be optimistic about the Giants moving forward.
Yeah, I'm not ready to close the book on the New York Giants. Definitely not. I mean, yeah, they played two pretty good defenses, and, yeah, they had their moments of tearing them up. But they got issues. I mean, we know the offensive line, pass protection. I mean, Daniel Jones early in that game last week, holy cow. I mean, he had to look to see if everybody's blocked first before he could even look downfield. And sometimes he would look and be like, oh, no, he's coming right at me. We didn't block him, and we had two guys on him. So there's an issue. And the defensive talent itself is, you know, there's a lot of good, but how talented is the secondary? And I don't know if they have an elite pass rusher. Ojulari looking good in through 2 weeks, but there's definitely some holes in the team. But I'm not ready to close the door on them yet.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.